This is how dark our childhood was. We sat there having breakfast, eating your cereal before you went off to school or to go watch your cartoons in the morning, staring at your milk carton of pictures of missing and murdered children. This was our childhood. This was just how dark things were for us as kids. The thing is, it's not like it was then, okay? Like it is now, I should say. Kids went missing then. Nobody looked for them right away. The only person that gave a damn was the parents, maybe, or some friends. Even then, a child would go missing and the police would automatically assume it was runaway. You had to actually wait then 72 hours to go looking for a child. They didn't have the immediate response now, the Amber Alert system and all that. No, it was our generation as we got older that got that stuff put in. Nobody cared. Nobody really looked for these things. There was no nationwide stories or manhunts. I mean, right here in the background, the first kid to go on a milk carton. Now, don't even look at the Wikipedia because it's not correct. But John Gosch was the first kid to show up on the milk carton in 1982. Now, and I believe that, 1982. And of course, Wikipedia's got that wrong. They got another child listed. But he was never found. Most of the kids on the milk cartons were never found. Never heard from again. They were gone. That's how dark it was. I mean, the only successful promotion at all was on MTV and the band Soul Asylum and their song Runaway Train. When that first aired, they posted a different, I think it was 20 kids or something on there, and they found a good chunk of them they found. And they were typical. They were like us. They were actually runaways, most of them. And they saw themselves, or their roommates saw them now that they were in their 20s, and they ended up contacting home. But this was the reality of how dark our childhood was. And I remember this one time we were in school and they brought people in to go and, talk about this stuff and talk about kids' safety. And they had the whole Just Say No to Drugs program, which didn't do shit. And the Stranger Danger didn't do shit. But they had these things. I remember one time the speaker that they had, I can't remember who he was. He was from somewhere, some police liaison, and he was up there and he was talking and they were spouting statistics even then, that they had the statistics that the reason that the kids went missing at such a high rate is they were mostly runaways, because they would sit there and say, look around right now in the school, 1 in 3 kids in here right now are physically beaten at home. You're physically abused, 1 in 3. And another one, or it's 1 in 3 was either physically abused at home, violently verbally abused at home or neglected, or, the other one. The whole can't say it here, the whole they were SA'd at home. And we all know now that it wasn't no strangers down the block that did most of this crap. It was somebody in the neighborhood. It was usually a friend of the family or some crap like that. That is how dark our childhood became. Now, there are still missing kids. Yes, I get it. And there are still things that happen. But there are systems in place now to protect them, to find them, to look out for them. They didn't care when we were young. These systems weren't there. It wasn't a matter of that. It was because nobody noticed. When you want to talk about not just the forgotten generation, we weren't just forgotten by the generations that came after us or the ones before us that skipped over us. We were completely forgotten about on our own time when we were kids. We fended for ourselves. Now, I know there's going to be some people who be like, man, my life experience was not like yours. And well, you know what? I am glad. If you didn't have the one I had growing up, great. So I've said before, a lot of the stuff I did was because I never ended up expected to live past, 20, 25 tops. Here I am, going to be 48 this year, and voila, still kicking. Beat the odds, they say. But when you look at this and you think just how dark things were when we were children, it's no wonder we had such a high rate of self-medicated people. I mean, nobody looked at things when you were a kid and it was there was no mental illness amongst kids. You had kids with hyperactivity, and they would give them some Valium or something to calm them down, or they would just knock them around, or parents would give them a little bit of booze to keep them calm. That was a common one. Keep me from crying as a baby, my mother would put beer in my bottle. And I used to tell her, like, holy shit. The fact that I didn't turn out a raging alcoholic or drug addict was absolutely amazing. But that was by choice. Because everyone that went down that super dark path, you had a choice. I don't care who you are. In the end, you had a choice, no matter how bad. Look right behind me. That's how dark our childhood was. We stared at that every morning having breakfast. But none of that was an excuse to spend your life spiraling down a dark path of your own. There came a time when we got older, we had to realize that it don't matter what happened then. Everything that happens from this point forward is from the choices you make today. Now, this is where I want to get a little more positive in this, people, especially for some that haven't quite got it, that are our age and still living, so-called living their trauma. I mean, I get it. However, there comes a point in time where you got to stop looking at the past, blaming the past, living in the past, and just sit there and go, everything that happens from this day forward is based on the decisions I make from right now moving forward. From this day forward, I make different decisions. It's a different life. People are like, it's not that easy. It's as simple as that easy. You make up your mind. I can't help you if you're not willing to take a step yourself, When it come to that, man, my own friends that fell down that dark path, you know what? I don't begrudge the ones that turned around and went, yeah, like I got a friend, he's just like, he's a huge alcoholic. He knows he is. And he just sits there and he's like, I'm alcohol fueled. And he's a massive, massive alcoholic. Never got on his case for being an alcoholic because he doesn't deny who he is, what he is, and he doesn't blame anybody for it. It's his choice. He chooses to stay that way. He even says so. So I have no sympathy for anybody that gets caught in it and won't get out on their own. Now, I believe if somebody wants out of that crap after, no matter what you experienced in your past, you'll lend your friend a hand. But that's how dark things were when we were kids. Staring at missing and murdered children while we had breakfast. There's no way to make that not look like a bad thing. Now, I get it. I'm kind of jumping around here. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm going, but this is just something that's just kind of been stuck with me. And it was brought up by someone in the comments, and they wrote down all the things that made our childhood dark on the other video. And when he mentioned this one, I had always left this one alone. I didn't touch it. I didn't mention it. But it's about the darkest point there is for our childhood. Imagine if they still did that today. With as easily, people are traumatized now today by names and pronouns and colors and holding doors open for people, set people up. Imagine what would happen today if people had to sit there again, maybe they should, and start putting all these missing kids back on milk cartons, put them everywhere, all the time. Anyway, I'm going to let this one go for now. I know nobody really wanted to hear it. Nobody wanted to see it, but I just had to get it off my chest. It's been gnawing at me for a while now. So I just had to say it. And I will say one thing, if you watch this, I do have another video that I wanted to release that I haven't, that I did. And I'm asking a question in it. But the problem is, it's a topic that sets everybody off, no matter what side you're on, or even if you're just trying to ask a question or have a general discussion, everybody flips out and nobody can behave themselves and have an actual conversation. So if you manage to watch this to the end and you think you can have a real conversation about something that I think is something that is a valid conversation, but is a touchy subject for a lot of people, especially now with a recent Supreme Court ruling, I'll load it and we'll see where that goes. I think that one, if I do load it, I'll even premiere it so there's a live chat and I'll be there at the time. Anyway, this is Drac for now saying so long and peace out, everyone.